Let me know what you think, Josh.
Service retention starts the second the customer walks through the sales floor doors. Instantaneously, your service department is judged based on the first second half step that occurs when they walk into the dealership. Your customer service, not just your vehicle service, starts there. And if you are not excelling in every aspect of that customer service through sales, you're putting your service department on the back foot. You don't want to be a service manager, service advisor trying to fix a 80% conversation that occurred through the sales process. That's just like a nightmare waiting to happen for every service advisor and service manager on the planet. As soon as you get through there, and if the store has a sales to service handoff of any kind, that becomes a secondary step that you got to be at 100% or better. Because if you don't have that, you've got a customer who didn't necessarily have the most epic experience buying the car, then they don't really know what they need to do next. Most of them seem to know kind of what to do. They know they need to service the car. They got a general understanding during the research process and phase of buying the car as to what it kind of needs. They don't know who to talk to necessarily. They could be the first time at the store, or there's people they don't want to talk to because it's not the first time at the store. So that whole service experience that has nothing to do with service impacts service directly. And they haven't even serviced the car yet. Now that we have vehicles that are incredibly different than when I started many moons ago, dating myself back to 2003, we don't have customers come to the store 4 times a year anymore. That's just not normal. That is not normal, not even close. We have service intervals that are pushing the boundaries of time where we have once a year service intervals, but we have manufacturers who are expecting our dealership owners, our dealership leaders, service department leaders to get customers in 2-3 times a year, even though the vehicle itself specifically doesn't call for servicing that frequently. So we're having to come up with creative ways to get the vehicle in to make sure not only is it safe for that person, that customer, that guest, that family, but we got to come up with creative ways to get them in. Customers, for the most part, aren't stupid. They know if they've looked online during the research phase of their buying experience, they know it only needs to be serviced once a year. That's part of selling features for many folks. Once a year, 20,000 kilometers, 16,000 miles. That's a big selling feature to a lot of people. So when they get a phone call from our business retention department saying, "Hey, we'd love you to come in," no matter how awesome that experience is with that rep on the phone is, no matter how awesome or how clean or how efficient the script is or the email is, that customer, in all likelihood, is going, "Why are you contacting me?" Again, customer has yet to actually service with you in that circumstance. They've had no reason to service with you yet. And they potentially haven't had the greatest buying experience, haven't had the greatest or any sales to service handoff. And now you've got a rep on a phone or in an email saying, "Hey, I'd like you to come in," for whatever reason. Now they're questioning everything about the car. So your service retention starts the moment they walk through that door, or more importantly, it starts the moment they start research and start looking at your store online. So if you're not doing everything humanly possible to make your sales to service handoff, your service retention processes clean before it touches service, you're already in the hole. Whether AI is part of the process or not, it just can't be the whole process, because then they feel like a video. Then they feel like a number when they're going through that process. And once they get into the service drive, the follow up to all of the pomp and circumstance that you want to put them through, all being genuine, but it's still going to be pomp and circumstance, because it's like the second largest purchase of most of our lives, at least a couple of times. And they get into the service, it has to continue through that whole process. Unfortunately, it feels like we've talked a lot about variable and what the detriment or positives that sales can do to get it to service, to start your service retention process. It's up to service to then take that baton and run with it and do even better. We gotta crush it, because we gotta not just crush it on this meeting, the sales to service handoff. We can't just crush it on that one. We're gonna crush it when they come in, because they need their, the washer fluid light or DEF fluid light is on, and they don't know what to do, and they're like, oh my god, I don't understand. I've got a digital service manual in my car, and I don't have a CD player in my computer anymore. I don't know how to. You got to be able to just crush it, irrespective of the circumstance when they come in. You're talking about Michael cracked it into a home run in there. Word tracks. Practice, 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 practice in that service drive with your service advisors how to absolutely crush as many circumstances and situations as you can. Because your BDC is only going to be able to handle so much, because at some point the customer is going to be upset enough or confused enough or frustrated enough that they're going to drive the car to the store and like, hey, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And like Wendy just said, it takes a village. But realistically speaking, once they get through the sales process, that village is the few people that are in the service drive. That is the face, the voice, the name, the person that they just live with for years on end. If we can't crush it there, nothing else is going to work. You're not going to get service number 4, service number 5, service number 6 down the road. We're not going to keep them past the period.
And what about the used car buyer, right? We can't get new car salespeople to walk them back, but isn't the used car buyer going to need more service in the next 3 years than the new car guy?
100%. The secondary challenge with that is it's still a sales to service handoff.
Yep.
It's still that sales to service handoff. We've got to crush it as best as we possibly can. And once we get it there, we have to crush each experience of coming in. Understandably, if we have a branded facility, you've got someone who's on the desk in the drive. God willing, you've got a whole team of people who've been there at least 3 years, so they have a somewhat fair, good knowledge of the product itself to know, say it's a Toyota store. Well, they probably have an 80 to 90% knowledge and understanding of the vehicle from a service advisor standpoint after 3 years of Toyota. But imagine you sell 600 used cars a month. There's no way those are all Toyotas. So for them to even have a 10 or 20% knowledge of all of the brands that you sell as used is a high expectation of your service advisors, who may have only got 3 to 5 years of experience total, which means you've got to double down on the customer service side, not on the technical understanding and jargon, which comes back to Sean's point. They have to be able to speak eloquently, irrespective of what technical piece that is wrong with the vehicle or right with the vehicle. Hey, really glad you serviced with us last time. Your dingle hopper was broken and we fixed it. We really appreciate you coming back for business. They got to exceed every expectation every single time. And to Michael's point, and to Sean's point, you have to have life and word tracks so that your service advisors can absolutely crush every single one of those situations for your guests, so they want to come back. One thing that I've come across in my career, both in the drive as a consumer, leading service technician, one of the things that we don't do enough, and I'm guilty of this very early on, and I've only grown to know this in the last couple of years after listening to people like Michael Barrich and Peter Smith and so forth, is that we don't ask our customers enough questions. We tend to ask only the questions that we need to get answered to complete the sale or to finish the transaction or to understand better what's wrong with the car. In this circumstance, we're talking about customer retention. Let's throw the service out the door for a second. We're talking about customer retention. Who is going to tell us what we need to do best? Not each one of us in this room. None of us have the aptitude that is our customer base. When we have dealerships where we service 20 a day, 100 a day, 500 a day, not one of us has the experience to say, I took care of 500 customers today. None of us can do that, let alone do it every day. So why aren't we asking the customers often enough and broadly enough to understand exactly what they want instead of listening to the manufacturer saying, customers want this. Well, Toyota, I understand that you sell a lot of cars in a year. You don't know my customer base. Unfortunately, what we're doing is perpetuating that same mantra. Well, I know my customers. Well, each individual person knows yours very small, specific, regular customers. Your regular customers love what you do right now, but your regular customers are probably only 5% of the people that you service as a service advisor. And this is really what we're talking about. We're getting back to people in the service drive, the people that are the faces, the names, the phone numbers, the email addresses that take care of the majority of the business that cycles us back and forth through our 4 to 7 year cycles. Those service advisors need to be talking to all of their customers, not just the regulars who absolutely love them for what they do. They need to talk to the other 95% that are probably not the greatest customers. Well, why aren't they great customers? Are they not great customers because they're not great people? Well, I'm willing to bet that if you've got 100 customers, 95 of them aren't all jackasses. I'm willing to bet only maybe 5 to 10 of them are. Those 80 in the middle, not your 10% at the top, not for 10% at the bottom, but the 80 in the middle. Talk to those people. And don't just talk to a few. Talk to them all. And ask them questions. Like Lachelle has said right here. Talk to 80 of those people. Ask them what they want. What's one thing that I can do today? Not the extra coffee in the coffee lounge, not the 5 minutes extra on the phone. What is the one thing that I can do to help you today? And then the really, 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 really intelligent advisors are going to write that down so they do it every single time that customer comes in. That's how you build a book of business. That's how you make more money. That's how you retain customers for a really, really long time. And just like somebody said in my Sweaty Leader group chat that I have with 30 technicians, one of my technicians in that Sweaty Leader group is a teacher. He's only been teaching at a college for about a year. He's just had his first experience where a student, after he asked the student, what can I do to help you make sure you succeed in this class at the beginning of the semester? The student crushed it, absolutely crushed it, and bought him a $250 bottle of alcohol to say thank you. No one has ever helped me like that before. That is what service retention is. Asking them the questions that they need to answer. Not the questions that we need answers, the questions that they need answered to make sure their experience is exemplary. And that was a clip from this past week's Automotive Innovators and Disruptors. Really appreciate y'all listening, watching, liking, and subscribing to the show. Automotive Innovators and Disruptors does occur every week on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is free to attend on Clubhouse. Make sure you check out the channel on Clubhouse, RSVP, so you don't miss it. Really appreciate, again, y'all listening and watching. Remember to subscribe. And as always, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.